the Seahawks are still in the offseason. Not necessarily a whole lot going on there yet, other than rookie mini camps and voluntary workouts starting up. I think the one kind of big storyline surrounding the Seahawks right now is the one that's been following them really all offseason long, and that's Earl Thomas and what's going to happen with him, if he's going to stay with the team, if he's going to get traded or cut. He did not attend the voluntary workouts this last week. Do you guys have a take on that?
Go ahead, football man. Let us know.
I think it's just an old veteran, not wanting to go to the workouts just because he's kind of doing his own thing right now. His agent has come out and said that he's not going to hold out, and to this, I think I would believe his agent right now with what he's been saying. Because they didn't trade him in the draft, I think he's going to end up playing out this year, and then he won't be a Seahawk after this season. I predict that he will go someplace and sign. But I think you're going to see a motivated Earl Thomas this season playing his heart out still for the Seahawks because they're the team that drafted him, and because he is looking forward to that next contract and getting paid maybe for like one more contract on a 2 or maybe a 3-year deal with with a third year player option. So I don't think it's that big of a deal right now. And I think Earl is just going to be out there playing. As for all the PR stuff and looking good, I don't know how much of that he'll do, but I believe you'll see him out on the field performing and trying to make plays this season.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a huge story necessarily. There's definitely a new era of Seahawk football on the rise, and that could be tough when you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
As Earl Thomas was, he was definitely a huge part of the old group of players, and now a lot of his close friends and teammates aren't there anymore. I don't think that's a reason for him not to go, though. I think that, like DJ said, he's older, he's mature, he's away from it, and he's putting the work in on his own. So I think it is a story just from the sense that it is a story because it's been a story, I guess, like you said, Seth. It's kind of followed them throughout the offseason, whether they were going to trade him or not. I think that they're past the point of trading him. If the Seahawks go out and do not play well in the first part of next season, you could see him dealt at the first part of that because, DJ, like you said, if you don't think that he's going to be a Seahawk at the end of the next year, I don't see a point in holding on to him. Get some sort of value out of him. I mean, cut ties and keep going.
Yeah, I think they're just trying at this point just to, in a sense, they're kind of just using him for his last year and his value and his service. And like you said, if they're not playing real well, then I think you could see him dealt at the trade line. But if you take a look at like this group of Seahawks, this is kind of what the old group was at the beginning. Like they all have chips on their shoulders. They're not expected to do anything special, and that's why I think you can still see some success out of the Seahawks team. I don't think they're going to be like that terrible by any means. I think they're going to win the division? No, but I think that this group still will have some maturing to do and have a chip on their shoulder, and Earl can kind of serve as a teacher. That's up to him if he wants to, but he could maybe serve as a teacher, and maybe they don't think that his backup is ready to play yet.
So what do you think about it?
I kind of think the whole thing is a little overblown. I mean, they're called voluntary workouts for a reason. The point is to give some of those veteran players the opportunity to take extra time off if they feel that they need it. So I really don't have a problem with Earl Thomas deciding that he doesn't need to be there at this point in time.
Sure. Did you see that his wife was sticking up for him on Twitter, saying the same thing you did, Seth, that they're voluntary workouts? And
I didn't see that.
Everyone needs to relax.
I don't think
RELAX.
I don't think it needs to be a story, but people are trying to make it one.
Well, if there's no story, you got to make a story, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the Seahawks in May. Come on.
Yeah. We should know that as comm majors. You got to try and make a story out of anything.
Well, there's some validity to it. Like I said, it's been a story, and if there's going to be frictions between the two sides,
it's just like an interesting note. Like, ooh, did you see this?
Sure.
Like an interesting fact, or something like that. But oh well.
Speaking of interesting stories going around the Seahawks, I heard this last week that Colin Kaepernick's legal team was actually questioning both Pete Carroll and John Schneider about why they postponed their meeting with Kaepernick this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a few weeks ago, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't done a show in a month and a half, so I don't know.
maybe not a month and a half.
Hey, hold on. We got to do the math now, right?
Oh,
I
man.
didn't do one last week.
Hey, okay. Also, you have to fess up and say you're sorry to all the listeners about saying that the Trailblazers had a chance of reaching the Western Conference Finals.
Ooh.
Seth and I talked about it last week. You gotta publicly apologize.
I apologize to all the Trailblazers fans for getting their hopes up. They got my hopes up too. I was even like, when they lost in 4, I was like, crap.
Because you said that.
I made this. What?
Because you said that. You said
Yeah,
that they
exactly.
Wouldn't. You said
I'm
they had a
like-
chance.
I'm like, I picked the Trailblazers to go on to the finals on this radio show, and it was completely wrong. I put too much faith in my boy Lillard and McCollum. It was just, I don't know what the heck I was thinking.
We got through it. It was probably a bad matchup for him.
Yeah.
But we got through it. DJ, sorry for picking the Blazers after they got swept in the first round.
Yeah.
The most meaningless round, mind you, of the NBA playoffs.
Yep.
So it's all right, DJ. We're all wrong sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I've been wrong multiple times in my life. It's just, you got to get through it and then move on, right?
So were Pete Carroll and John Schneider wrong for moving their meeting with Colin Kaepernick, or what's the deal with this story here?
No, they were not, because it's I remember talking to somebody, and it's just like, the Seahawks are a business, and if you're a business and you get a resume, this guy has been to jail a few times, he has a DUI, things like that. I mean, obviously they're different, but it's baggage that comes with that client or employee that is applying for the job. And that's pretty much what Kaepernick was doing. Was he is applying, well, not really applying, but he got invited to have a workout. And when the Seahawks asked him what is his stance and what's he going to do with the anthem, he didn't give them a clear answer, and so they decided to move on from him because he had that baggage, because there's no doubt, or there's stats there to prove it, that had an effect on the way people viewed the NFL and the way people watched a football game last year, was because of that whole anthem thing. So I don't have a problem with it.
I think as far as fit goes, you couldn't really find a better team for Colin Kaepernick than the Seahawks, but with Russell Wilson being here, there's no chance Kaepernick would start anyway. And if he's not willing to commit to standing for the national anthem, putting his politics aside for the team, then no, I don't have a problem with the team saying we don't want this kind of distraction from our backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily fair to make a person put their beliefs on the back burner, but that's kind of the state of what the NFL thinks it needs right now. So that's where Colin Kaepernick is at as far as not getting looks from teams. The other part is, people are saying, teams are saying, I guess, that after they've talked to Colin Kaepernick and see what he's done, they consider him to be a quote-unquote starting quarterback in this league. And that's why they won't sign him to be a backup. Well, I mean, how true can that be, first of all? And then if he realistically is that good, and you have Russell Wilson, who could struggle a couple weeks in a row, all of a sudden, from a football standpoint, that distraction of, well, we got a guy who many consider to be capable of starting football games in the NFL, waiting in the background. Why isn't he getting a chance? I mean, it's just almost easier to have a person as a backup who is significantly worse than your starter, avoid the headache, and just keep playing football. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. It's intriguing. It's worth talking about, but yeah, there's probably not room right now for Kaepernick to be on the Seahawks. So
Nope. He can take his talent somewhere else.
there you go.